What's up, Neverwinter? I'm doing a little video on the guild stronghold. I know there's not a whole lot of up-to-date stuff. People might have questions in 2025 about how to start the stronghold, how to upgrade it. So in order to start a guild, you do need to go to Protector's Enclave and talk to some people, the guild registrar. Uh, shows you how to do it at some point in the leveling process. I think when you get to around level 10 or something like that. Now, the main thing is on the guild stronghold. So as you go and build more buildings, it's going to allow you to upgrade the guild stronghold to higher levels, which is in turn going to unlock more plots to build different types of structures. Those different types of structures are production plots, support plots, and boon plots. And those different plots will be in different locations around the map. Um, you can, I believe, take the support plots. You can also turn into further production plots. So when you first start out in your guild stronghold 1, the first thing they have you do is just kill enemies around the stronghold, and that allows you to build the lumber yard. And I believe there's only the one plot available right away, which is the lumber yard over here. I'm gonna head over there. Um, and then they kind of gatekeep which buildings you can build and upgrade at the beginning based off of what resources you need. So just killing those enemies around the stronghold is going to allow you to build this lumber yard back here. And then you're going to have to come here every day and tend the structure. You can do it once every 8 hours. Won't let me go up there, but that bar will fill up every 8 hours, so you'll just tend it. And it's not going to show it because I'm already have it upgraded. But you're going to need to tend that structure in order to get lumber. And then I believe the second building they'll allow you to build is going to be the farm, which we have over here. I'm just going to go tend this while I'm at it. Basically, you're just going to be going through, and it is a little confusing at first, um, but you're just going to be basically building whatever you can build, looking at the um, structures that are allowed for you to put up. You're going to put them up when you can, and as more structures are unlocked, you're going to put them up. The main 4 buildings that you're going to need the whole way throughout is going to be the farm, it's going to be the lumberyard, the farm, the mine, and the quarry. So these 4 buildings, you're going to be using those resources in order to, you're going to need those resources throughout, I believe, just about every building. There might be a few of them that don't really use the lumber, the food, the stone, and the metal. I think a couple of the upgrades on the marketplace don't require any of those resources. Um, but the only way you can really get these is by going to those locations in your stronghold and tending those structures. So you're going to want to make sure, especially when you're starting out and kind of throughout the whole journey, that you're trying to get there at least once a day. If not, at most, you can do it about every 8 hours. You can tend them before they're full. And it is recommended to keep up with that if you can. So here, this is already at 20, so you can't really look at it. I can go to, if you go here to Stronghold, so you can see we are not fully upgraded yet. We are Guild Hall 20, but we have 2 boons that still need to go to rank 10, which is the max. Every other building other than the stronghold caps out at rank 10. So we will head down to the stable here and take a look. Now, if you're in an alliance, and I highly recommend you are for this process, you will get structure discounts. So we have a 24% structure discount. You're not going to have that discount if you're not in an alliance. So we're going to go down here and take a look at what we need for the stable to go up to rank 10. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about where you can get all of these different resources and kind of some different ways about how you should be looking at getting these different resources, so that you can kind of get through the process as quick as possible, and some different strategies with what buildings you want to build in order to make this happen. So you can see we're just waiting on some influence, and we can put the stable up to rank 10. And you'll just come here. You have to go to the location and hit upgrade. Now, if you see here, it says we need 240,000 influence. If you look here at the stable, it says we need 315,000. That's because of our discount. You're only going to be able to see that discount when you come to a given location and look at upgrading a specific building. Now, in 2025, a lot of guilds are already maxed out. You're not going to see, a whole lot of people running influence and donating it just by doing the heroic encounters around the stronghold. I do recommend, if you're still in a building guild, you host marauders, especially. That's some free influence right there. Dragonflight can be good as well, but a whole lot of people aren't going to be doing Dragonflight just because of needing the strong box keys in order to open up the strong box of influence that you get from the Dragonflight. So the different resources that you're going to need are going to be these different shards of power. The Conqueror's shards of power are only going to be used for the PvP structures, and you'll unlock those just the same, at certain ranks of your guild stronghold. You'll unlock right here a PvP slot. Another PvP slot at 11. Another PvP slot at 15. So these PvP slots are going to unlock these boons. We haven't done any of them. PvP is pretty much dead in this game. You have to do PvP matches in order to get these, and they only affect you during PvP. So we don't bother with those. Our guild doesn't PvP. Not a whole lot of guilds PvP nowadays. Those PvP structures, I believe, are these green ones here. We haven't touched them. It's those towers that are around the map. So the shards are going to come from mostly the quests that you're going to get. Now, you're going to have to do some yellow introductory quests before you unlock them. But if you'll see here, if you come over by the builder, you'll get, okay, this only has minor profession vouchers. Now, these stronghold ranked earnings, that's just for this quest, My Only Enemy is Time. Sometimes you'll come here and you'll have a quest that will give you 10 heroic shards, I believe it is. No, shards of power. Yeah, 10 heroic shards of power if you do the maximum reward for it. A lot of these quests are going to be, as you can see here, I just accepted Movin the Slothful, that's down here. Defeat Stormcaller, Balholm, and challenge the Iron Golem. And this is just going to be spots. You're going to go up to it. You're going to press A. It's going to start a quest. You're just going to kill an enemy that's really easy to kill. They'll die super fast. It's scaled to be something that people could have done years ago. They'll be really easy to kill. That's how you'll get your heroic shards of power. Come over here by the Master of Coin. She'll mostly have quests to go to different zones. This is to do a couple of quests in Icewind Dale support. That'll get you some adventurer shards. The ranger over here is going to have a quest for, let's see what it is. Defending the stronghold. This is also going to give you 10 shards of power a day just for doing 3 heroic encounters around the stronghold. These, again, just like those other quests, they're super easy. Drake attack, beast attack, devil attack, and then over here will be spider attack. There's also lake supply woes, dock supply woes. Those take a little bit longer than the devil attack and the beast attack. You're just going to have to kill one group of enemies that are going to be standing there, and then 4 more waves of enemies are going to spawn in. You'll just kill those enemies and then you'll be done. When you do the dock supply woes and the lake supply woes, which would normally be here and here, those are going to very similar. You're going to have a couple of waves of enemies you're going to have to kill. There's also going to be stuff you have to pick up. The tier 2 ones can be very fast as well. There's just going to be 4 groups of enemies you have to kill, and then 1 more group of enemies are going to spawn in. They are a little bit harder to kill, but nothing that you should have an issue with completing in 2025. Again, these are scaled to be done, 10 years ago when the strongholds came out. The demonic heroic encounters that pop up around the stronghold are pretty much pointless. I don't believe they give any influence. They're going to take longer to do than the other ones. They're just not worth it. The tier 3s, when you complete these, you're going to get your influence as well as some heroic shards of power. I believe that's like the only place where you're really going to get the heroic shards of power. So you're going to want to make sure you're doing at least 1 tier 3 heroic encounter every day. Now the cleric here is also going to have quests for doing dungeons. The doing your part is just going to be for doing a regular random queue. It could be a dungeon or a skirmish, I believe, as well. And then doing your part expertly has to be either the advanced dungeon queue or the trial queue. So you'll get a little bit of those shards of power from that. And that's basically the only 3 shards that you need to worry about is the heroic shard of power, adventure shard of power, and dungeoneer shard of power. Now, different structures are going to cost, I believe each one of them will only cost 1 of these 3. An easy way to get these, now it is going to cost you some Zen. I know it can be a little bit different on different platforms. I know PlayStation and PC, there's a wait. You're spending 750 Astral Diamonds per 1 Zen. On Xbox, we're sitting at 603 right now. But you can buy these. If you buy them with a coupon, they're cheaper. And they have 100 of each shard inside of them. If you open these during the Stronghold Week event, they're going to give you 200 of each one of these shards. So this is very valuable. This is going to streamline your shard process quite a bit. There's also this one, the Stronghold Chest of Campaigns. The only ones that I really recommend you take from here if you're buying this is going to be the Fey Trinket and the Influence Vouchers, because the rest of them can tend to be cheaper than what the conversion rate is for Astral Diamonds to Zen. If you do the math, you can find that depending on what the exchange rate is at, buying these from here can potentially be cheaper than buying 5 of these vouchers on the auction house. I just recommend looking at the exchange rate and what these vouchers cost on the auction house. When the Astro lock boxes come around, these will generally be pretty cheap on the auction house, so you can pick up some for very cheap. Um, the wood, the stone, the metal, and the food. The main place that you're going to get this from is just from tending the structures. There are vouchers for them, but they don't give you a whole lot. They only really come from those boxes in the Zen market that give these shards. So you're not going to see a whole lot of vouchers on the auction house for these four. So just make sure you're tending as much as you can. Profession supplies is going to come from going to the coffer here and donating anything that would be in your profession supplies, whatever it may be. There are profession supplies vouchers. You're going to get green ones from doing the quests at the builder. Gold is just your gold. You can also craft, I believe it's in alchemy. Let me go check here. Maybe jewel crafting. Yeah, creative transmuted gold. So you can craft these. It's going to be 5 gold per one of these that you craft. So every time you do this recipe, it's going to be 30 gold for your stronghold. That is an option. It's not a bad one. Gold is kind of easy to come by just from doing stuff in the workshop. You can sell leather masks. You can craft potion of healing rank 9s in order to get your gold for this requirement. The gems is going to be any of your refinement gems. If you're a newer player, these are kind of harder to come by, and you're going to need your refinement points, so just be wary of that. The gems don't get used a whole lot. There's going to be a lot of players that don't need a whole lot of refinement points, so they'll, if you're recruiting people for your guild, you'll fill that up pretty quickly. Surplus equipment is going to be anything, any old gear that you want to donate, any newer gear. The purple ones are worth 500 for the coffer, 100 guild marks. Mythics are going to be 5,000 or 1,000 for your guild marks. This stuff is pretty easy to come by. A lot of people got a whole lot of these that they're just dumping over time. Astral diamond chests is going to be straight up raw astral diamonds. So every 1 astral diamond is worth 1,000 astral diamonds for the chest. You can see for our target with the Explorers Guild, you only need 2,000 astral diamonds. So, as you can see, 2 astral diamonds gets us almost enough for that. An alternative way to do it is, you can't see it here, but if you do the gathering in the workshop, you can actually gather astral diamond chests and donate them here, and that's kind of the better route to go. You can just set a couple of gatherers to just go get these, and it's not something you're gonna have to focus on too much as long as you got some adventurers going. Now the treasures, these are going to be, essentially these came from the 4 campaigns that existed when they came out with the strongholds. So that's the Tyranny of Dragons, which is now an adventure. Frozen Treasures, which comes from Icewind Dale Legacy Campaign. Dark Gifts is also a Legacy Campaign, the Dread Ring. And then Fey Trinkets, which is from the Sharendar campaign, which they updated about 2 years ago. The Treasures of Tyranny works differently now because it's no longer a campaign. So you're going to get vouchers that'll come from a number of different ways. The stolen one came from just killing enemies around the stronghold. But you can earn these chromatic elemental strands. The way you earn these is from this campaign right here, the Dragon Slayer campaign. You're going to have to do a couple of yellow quests at Protector's Enclave. This revolves around the dragon hunts. And once you get far enough in the Dragon Slayer campaign, it's very early on. You only have to do a couple of quests. You're going to get a quest to speak with somebody that's going to introduce the elemental strands system, which is this currency right here, the decayed, the verdant, the frozen, the charred, and then there's also these chromatic strands. Now, where these chromatic strands are going to come from, and you can see if you donate 10 here, you're going to get 50 for the coffer. I have 1346, so that's 6,000 for the coffer. Once you have been introduced by that quest giver to this elemental strand system, they're going to drop from enemies just about anywhere in the game. It seems like they have kind of started to phase them out. I don't believe you're going to get a whole lot of these elemental strands from newer campaigns. And that kind of comes down to any campaign that's newer. I know they still drop in North Dark Reaches. I don't believe you get them in anything newer than that. So that's going to be Menzabrands and on to Pirate Skyhold. So you are going to need to go around and do some older campaigns, killing enemies in dungeons. They'll drop pretty frequently. But that's where you're going to get your chromatic strands. The frozen treasures are going to come from doing the quests in Icewind Dale. You can see you're going to get these Koenig coins, these dwarf golds, these Orals tears. Now, an alternative thing you can do, and this will net you more for the coffer by doing quests out there in Icewind Dale, and then going here in the campaign, and you can craft these vouchers. Per tune, you can craft one per day, every 20 hours, and I've done the math before on this in the past. If you were to just donate the 2 dwarf gold, the 2 Orals tears, and the 21 Koenig coins, it's going to be less than the 1,000 that you get for making the voucher. I believe it's only like 600-ish about. And then Dreadring is going to operate the same way. You can just donate the stuff that you get from doing the quests. You're going to earn Thayan scrolls. You're going to earn Thayan ciphers. You're going to earn Vanguard scripts. This is something that doesn't really exist anymore. The Seal of the Shadow Mantle. These are similar to Genie's Gifts. So same thing here. You'll want to make this voucher. The 35 Vanguard scripts and the 20 Thayan scrolls is going to be worth less for the coffer than the voucher is worth. And then when it comes to the Fate trinkets, so I got some Essence of Darkness here. You can see if you donate 100, it's worth 500 for the coffer. These are going to come from the Sharandar campaign. There's 3 different areas, 3 different currencies. They're all worth the same for the coffer. And you're going to get these one of 2 ways, either doing quests in Sharandar or doing heroic encounters. I do recommend, if you're doing this alone or with a small group of friends, that you're going to want to focus pretty heavily on these treasures currencies, because you can buy the shards. That's something I recommend doing from the Zen market, buying those boxes when you can. turn a couple of them in. All the stuff in the stockpile, that's going to kind of come just from playing the game, you know, the surplus equipment, the gems, the profession supplies, and the astral diamond chests if you're gathering them. The treasures are going to be something that's kind of hard to come by. If you do it even on one character, just go and do the quests every day and make the vouchers, turn them in as you go. This is going to be one of your biggest holds. You're going to be waiting on this stuff a lot. You know, as you can see, for our stable, we need 552,000 of the treasures, you know, 249,000 of the dark gifts. Alternatively, you can do Genie's gifts, turning those in order to get frozen treasures and dark gifts. But the fate trinkets and the treasures of tyranny, that's just going to come from, you know, playing the game. If you are doing heroic encounters in Sharandar, you're also going to get the chromatic strands for the treasures of tyranny. Now, the last currency, your influence, as I stated before, that's going to come from doing primarily the heroic encounters around the stronghold, as well as if you look on the calendar here, there's an event that you can do every 2 hours, which is Marauders. There's a 15-minute window where you can come here. This isn't really going to be able to, something that you're going to be able to solo, but there'll be a guy that'll spawn here on the bridge. You'll talk to him and the event will start. You only need really a couple of people to do it, but I recommend posting in your alliance, letting people know that you're going to be calling in the Marauders. A little event will start where a cart will come here. It'll drop off supplies here. Another one will drop off some supplies here. And another one will drop off some supplies down here. Now at the south and the northern, you're not going to worry about these two locations at all. Just let them go away. The enemies will steal all the supplies, and then those two locations will become non-existent at that point. You'll just focus on this area right here outside the front of the stronghold. This is where you're going to, you know, when you travel to the stronghold, you're going to be right here. So you're just going to worry about defending this spot. There's going to be 5 waves. Now, if you had defended this spot and this spot, you would be able to vote to continue. If enough people voted yes, then the event would continue. You're not going to get any more influence by continuing. You will get more vouchers for the coffer. And I don't think this character has any. They're going to be little white vouchers. They're not going to be worth much, but they're going to be those treasures currencies, the fey trinkets, the dark gifts. They're not worth a whole lot. It's not worth continuing. And the only way you can continue is if you defended all 3 of these locations, and all 3 of them still have supplies at them. The enemies do get harder over time. The first 5 rounds, they're very easy. You can complete this with, you know, a handful of people here. Each person that's here is going to get 600 influence. They can do Marauders once per week per tune. So if you have multiple tunes, you can do Marauders more than once and get more influence. Another way you're going to get influence is by doing these heroic encounters around the stronghold. And you can get a maximum of 400 influence per day per tune by doing these. The main things you're going to want to make sure you're doing every day is gaining influence and gaining those treasures. Those are going to, you know, over the long haul, as long as you're tending these 4 structures, you're going to be getting the stone, the wood, the food. You'll be able to keep up with it as long as you're tending. The influence and the treasures are going to be your biggest drag. So as you upgrade the stronghold, it's going to unlock more production slots, support slots, and boon structures around the map. Now, these different structures are going to cost different resources. The only things that are going to cost influence is going to be your stronghold and your boon structures. Some guilds opt for not putting up boon structures until they get to a higher guild hall. That is an option, and the only thing it's really going to save you is influence, and it's going to allow you to get to guild hall 20 a little bit faster just because you're not needing the influence in order to upgrade. As you can see here, the warehouse doesn't need any. These are support structures. The warehouse doesn't need any influence. The animal pen, the production structures don't cost any influence to upgrade. They're just going to cost different treasures, different shards, depending on which building it is, and then profession supplies, gems, surplus equipment. The support structures are going to do some different stuff. The warehouse allows you to hold more in your coffer. The animal pen is going to increase the production of food. The smelter's yard is going to increase production from the mines. And then that's going to be your metal. The masonry guild is going to increase the production of your stone coming from your quarries. The milling yard is going to increase the production of lumber coming from your lumber yards. And then barracks is a boon structure, stable's a boon, temple's a boon. Marketplace, ours is maxed out, but that's going to be right here. This is also going to be one that's not going to cost any influence. This is one of the cheapest structures. What you are going to want to focus on as you're going, I believe we look at the guild hall here. As you go, it's going to be, requiring a certain amount of structures to be at a certain rank, and then it's going to allow you to go to the next rank. And then upgrading the stronghold further ranks. So you can see at rank 3 here, to go to rank 3, you require 4 structures at rank 1. And then it's going to unlock 2 new production plots and 1 new support plot. So that'll allow you to put up, you're going to start out with just a lumber yard. When you get to this point, it's going to allow you to put up the farm and the quarry, I believe. And you're going to be gated by, the farm's going to require lumber to build. And then the quarry, I believe, requires food to build. And then you're also going to need 1 support plot. Early on, I recommend that to be a warehouse so that you can hold more. And then once you have all of those built, it's going to allow you to upgrade to rank 4, which will allow you to upgrade your structures to rank 2. And then you'll see to go to rank 5, it's going to require structures at rank 2. That's going to be a recurring thing where I believe it's on every odd rank for the guild hall. It's going to require a number of other structures to be upgraded to a certain rank. And that's going to be reflective of basically half of whatever the guild stronghold is at. So as you're going to be upgrading the guild stronghold by upgrading the different production structures and support structures that you have upgraded. Now, we've never done it, but I have heard of people holding back on the boon plots. I believe at a boon plot, you can also put an additional production or support structure if you wanted. And all that's really going to save you is influence in the short term. In the long term, it's going to end up costing you more of the other materials. So if we look at the Masonry Guild here, you can see we only have this at rank 6 right now. This isn't going to cost you any influence, but it's going to cost you other stuff, astral diamonds, surplus equipment, gems, and then shards, and then different treasures. If you went this route and skipped the boons for now, you could theoretically get to Guild Hall 20 quicker, and then you could tear these down in order to put up the boon plots at a later date. But then you're going to be doubling back, and you're going to be spending influence and all those different resources along the way to upgrade your boons. I personally don't recommend skipping the boons. I recommend getting the boons as you get them, as a lot of players feel that they're needed. I will tell you that they are not needed. I've seen a lot of people in master content without boons. It can be done. The item level helps you get into the content easier, but these boons are not necessarily needed in order to complete master content. So just as you're going, just be aware that you need to continue to build structures and upgrade them in order to put the stronghold to the next rank, which will in turn allow you to build more structures and upgrade more structures. So just as you're going, just continue to, a lot of people think you can just keep putting stuff in the guild stronghold and you'll be able to keep upgrading stuff. That's not the way it works. You're going to have to go around and upgrade all of these different buildings as you go. Each rank of the stronghold is going to require X amount of buildings at X rank before you can go to the next stronghold rank. So just keep going, and as you're unlocking new buildings, put new ones up and upgrade them so that you can take the guild stronghold to the next level. The 4 that are definitely required are these 4 production structures. Some recommended ones would be the animal pen, the smelter yard, the masonry guild, and the milling yard. Those are going to increase the production of these materials and also allow you to hold more. The warehouse is just going to allow you to hold more. It's one of the cheaper structures to upgrade. It's not as needed as it used to be because they did an update where they increased the amount that the coffer can carry by 10 without even putting these up. It used to be you needed to have these upgraded to a certain point just to be able to hold enough of the different materials just to upgrade certain buildings. Mostly the guild stronghold. Most of these buildings you wouldn't even need a warehouse, and I don't believe that you necessarily need the warehouses anymore. But the main ones are just making sure you have these 4. And then, so as you can see, you're going to unlock your first boon plot at 5. You're going to unlock your next boon plot at 9. Again at 13. And then your last boon plot is going to be at 17. So our boon plots, we have the Explorers Guild here, we have the Temple here, we have the Barracks here, and we have the Stable down here. So yeah, just as you're going, making sure that you're upgrading these structures in order to support the guild stronghold to go to the next rank. Just make sure you're running your influence, hosting marauders, running those legacy campaigns as well as Sharandar, and getting far enough in the Dragon Slayer to collect your chromatic strands. That's all going to be stuff that's going to be necessary, as well as upgrading this marketplace because it is one of the cheaper upgrades. It's a great building to upgrade to service the amount of structures that you have to have built in order for the guild stronghold to go to the next rank. I think that's just about it. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments down below and I'll try to get to them, and have fun with this long grind, because I'll tell you, man, it is it is a long grind. If you guys have any recommendations for future videos you guys want to see me post to cover topics, I love doing videos that are a little less serviced, stuff that people don't talk about as much. Or if you want to see a build on some different tunes, let me know and I will try to get to them.